Last year's WWE Unreleased DVD was one of the most fascinating sets the promotion has ever produced. Delving deep into its archives, the promotion cobbled together dozens of never-before-seen matches from the 80s and 90s into one nostalgic feast. The 3-disc release received rave reviews despite the generally shoddy quality of the action and footage on offer. Fans immediately clamoured for more of the same, to which WWE DVD duly obliged with this 3-disc bundle of joy. While the last set covered all manner of performers from the era, this release focuses squarely on one man, the enigmatic Macho Man Randy Savage. As far as choices go, he's a mighty fine one. There is certainly a risk element involved in putting together a set like this, with the likelihood for repetition high and the potential for several matches to be phoned in snoozers just as probable. That is not a problem with Savage. A colourful ball of kinetic energy who wore many hats, figuratively and literally, throughout his career, Savage is the ideal candidate to receive such a collection dedicated to him. Differing his act from night to night and reinventing himself throughout the eras, Savage is a performer you can watch over and over again without getting bored. Corey Graves hosts, joined by a somewhat random team of Sean Mooney, Diamond Dallas Page and Randy Savage superfan Bailey, with the quartet discussing some of Savage's career highlights as they go through the years. They are an easy bunch to listen to, rarely overstaying their welcome and clearly happy to be there because of their passion for Savage's work. There are over 40 matches on the set, starting with Savage's first days for the WWF way back in 1985, right through to the end of his WCW run in the late 90s. Inevitably, there are some missable outings in the collection of this size, such as a number of squashes against luminaries like Aldo Marino, Mike Rice and Mario Mancini from the early days that can easily be skipped. Once they are out of the way, it does not take long to get into the good stuff. A match with Ricky Steamboat from the Sam Houston Coliseum, one of the WWF's first show from Paul Bosch's old stomping grounds, held shortly after WrestleMania 3, is one of the better offerings. Although not a patch on their Mania all-timer, the action is about as fast and furious as the era gets. It also holds the distinction of being the final match between the duo that made air, having previously been shown on WWE Network predecessor WWE Classics. Savage teaming with the Honky Tonk Man against the one-off dream team of Hulk Hogan and Ricky Steamboat is also an entertaining and highly intriguing curio. That match is even rarer, having only aired previously on the international edition of Wrestling Challenge. All 3 discs are crammed with full unusual one-off outings like that. There are several hidden gems to be found amidst some of the more generic paint-by-numbers house show and dark match clashes against regular foes Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, Brutus Beefcake, Ted DiBiase and Andre the Giant. That being said, as with WWE Unreleased, the quality, or lack thereof, of the action hardly matters a jot. The joy of this release comes from seeing those matches you never knew existed, even if you have seen a particular pairing dozens of times in different incarnations before, or from matches you thought you never would see. Savage and Mr. Perfect against Mr. Hughes and Giant Gonzalez in a 1993 tag bout is a prime example. It might be a rotten matchup, but to completist collectors and hardcore fans who grew up in their era, it's a must-see affair. Similarly fascinating is a madcap encounter pitting Savage, Roddy Piper and Hacksaw Duggan against Ric Flair, Jake Roberts and The Undertaker from December 1991. Savage had just recently returned from his WrestleMania 7 retirement and was embroiled in a wild feud with Roberts. He clashed many times with Roberts and Flair, some of which are on this set, but him locking horns with The Undertaker is a rarity to savour. The same can be said of Savage's singles meetings with Hercules 1989, Coco Beware 1990, Razor Ramon and Terry Taylor 1992, and Lex Luger 1993. These are all fresh WWF opponents for Savage, matchups that did not take place on television or pay-per-view. They may be old in age, but they are completely fresh to virgin eyes. Perhaps the most tantalizing bout for sheer intrigue is a 1992 Mega Powers reunion with Hulk Hogan against Jake Roberts and, bizarrely, the Berserker. This was the first time the duo teamed together since their famous split at Main Event 2 in 1989, almost 3 years to the day earlier. They would team again in February and March in matches not on this set, then never again in the WWF. Had Hogan not gone on hiatus following WrestleMania 8, chances are they would have teamed again throughout the year. Alas, they did not, leaving this as the only remaining vestige of that possibility. Sadly, there is nothing from 1994, Savage's final year year with the WWF, no doubt leaving fans disappointed who were hoping for the inclusion of his Yokohama, Japan match with Bret Hart. It would also have been fascinating to see Savage team with Bret Hart against Owen Hart and Jim Neidhart, a match that WWF did several times on the house show loop. Whether by choice or because the footage does not exist, it is nowhere to be found. 7 matches from Savage's 6 years with WCW make the cut. The most interesting by far is the one and only televised meeting between Savage and Steve Austin, held on WCW Saturday Night in May 1995. Regrettably, it's not particularly good due to brevity. Better are Macho's battles with old foes Kurt Hennig and Ric Flair, which are the highlights of the WCW section of the disc. In addition to the plentiful bounty of matches, there are rare photo skits, including one from Savage's home where he compares himself to Burt Reynolds and declares he is very great at wrestling, and outtakes. Unlike WWE Unreleased, several of these matches and segments have appeared previously, primarily on international or local television shows, so avid collectors will have seen some of them before. The positive of that is commentary exists for the bout, the lack of which hurts some of the matches on Unreleased. For the casual fan, we advise proceeding with caution before purchase. This set is not really designed for those with only a passing interest in the Macho Man. There are none of his finest moments here. If you want those, you will need one of his other 2 collections, Macho Madness or the Randy Savage story. For hardcore fans considering buying this looking for 5-star matches, you will not find anything like that either. But if you are keen to witness elements of Savage's career that have rarely been seen, this is the set for you. Recommended. Randy Savage Unreleased is available at www.dvd.co.uk. Use the code WrestleTalk to receive a discount on any order.